Welcome, KCIW listeners, to 100.7 and KCIW.org, Brookings, Oregon. Yes, this is the Joyously Free radio show, also known as Gadio Show. I'm here with a great presenter today, and so I just can't wait to jump in. But you know what we need to do for our normal routine. Well, first off, you know that I'm Joanie Lindenmeyer, author of None Better, a resident of Harbor, Oregon for 34 years. We're going to begin with our normal salutation, where Carol and I said this every day for 40 years. I say it's a brand new day, and you get to voluntarily respond with never been lived before. And I know my guest sitting right across me with these bright, sparkly eyes is ready to go. It's a brand new day. Never been lived before.
Never been lived before.
You got it. So this show is about LGBTQ stories and tips, along with church, religion, faith, spirituality, and joy. Simply put, it's the purpose of the show, to share, radiate, and spread abundant joy and freedom, hence the title, Joyously Free. It is also my second book, co-authored with Elizabeth Ann Atkins of twosisterswriting.com. This radio broadcast, just like my life, there's no hate speech, no hate behaviors, and no bullying. We will be blasting it with 3 C's, courage, confidence, and collaboration, and we're so glad you're here with us today. As with every show, we always like to start with a prayer. And so mine comes from a funny book of church signs. And I just cracked up when I read this morning. Here's the quote. Never be afraid to try something new. Remember, amateurs built the Ark, professionals built the Titanic. So dear God, creator of our universe, help us to be centered first, and then let's give a little bit of some reflection about this quote. Let's close our eyes, breathe in with joy, and out with despair. Again, take a big, deep breath in, and out with any worry or concern. And one more time. Breathe in deeply. We have happiness, we have love, and out with anything bothering you. Dear Jesus, dear God, Creator, when I read that funny little quirk this morning, all I could do was think of the speaker coming on today. Never be afraid to try something new. This speaker coming on is all about being a voice, being something new for our community here in our county, living in Gold Beach. But this speaker just resonated with me when I saw this. I don't think she has any fear in her body. And Lord, I guess what that says to me is people that have a newness, a way to be new and to be new every day in all that they do, that inspires me, and I think it inspires our world to be a happier and healthier place. So may you today, listeners, be healthier and happier, be open to something new, and know that don't worry about things because it's going to all be taken care of. We thank you, Holy God, for taking care of us. May we always do your will, and we appreciate all the new things you give to us. So let me, as I'm looking across the table here, introduce you to my guest speaker, my friend from Gold Beach. She's also the co-chair, they are my co-chair of Southern Oregon Coast Pride. This is Sarah Kacell, just like a castle. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, Joanie. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh.
And what a great way to have people start. Those deep breaths really helped put my nerves away.
Good. And if we do that every morning or throughout the day, it does make a difference. We want to get rid of the negative, keep the positive. And so, how are you doing today, Sarah?
Oh, gosh. Well, I'm doing great today. It's been quite a few days, working hard and not having as much time off as I had planned to, but glad to be here.
Yay. And I know you do work hard, and you are, I don't want to say a perfectionist, but you really are an embodiment of always doing the best that you can do every single day. So with that, Sarah, please jump in, tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Okay, great. Well, so I've been volunteering with Southern Oregon Coast Pride since I moved to Oregon, which was actually January of 2020, right before the world shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the first few years, I struggled to get very involved with the organization, probably because of COVID, but also just dealing with that culture shock, being in a new area, and then just trying to learn about my new community while it was shut down. But when I moved to Curry County in 2022, we started expanding some of our programs with Southern Oregon Coast Pride, and I became a lot more involved. I think you and I met at Coos Bay Pride in the Park in 2021.
Yes, I remember. Your smile was just beaming that day. Keep going.
Yes, it was right after you had published None Better. And I remember walking past and I was like, who is this bubbly blonde and in this bright pink booth? And so since then, I mean, we've crossed paths regularly. And one of the things that I started when I came down to Curry County is a program called Q Cafe in Gold Beach, which is where we get together on the second Saturday of the month. And I remember one of our first get-togethers, you came and you brought a whole big group of people. It was
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yes. And that is such a cool event. And listeners, please, put that in your calendar. Second Saturday of the month at First Chapter Coffee House in Gold Beach. Give us some more details, Sarah.
Yeah, well, so we get together from 10 to 12. We provide drip coffee, some pastries. If there's something different that you want, just let me know. I buy Diet Coke for someone who regularly comes who doesn't drink coffee. And we really just get together. We talk about some of the programs. Last month was kind of cool because there was a protest right after on June 14th over at the Gold Beach Courthouse. So we got together kind of socially for the first couple hours and then made our way over to the protest. What was cool about that is one of our guests at Q Cafe, it was their first time ever going to a protest. And so it was kind of safe. They knew some of the people, and I, of course, know the organizers, as do you, Indivisible Curry County. And so I was able to say, they do a really good job about safety. They have a very organized event. And so it was really great being able to get a couple new people involved.
And that brings the community to the forefront. And you mentioned just a few minutes ago about being new to a community. How do you build that community? How do you get your voice out there? Do you have any tips for people that might be new listeners even?
Gosh, I would say just reach out to the people who are doing it. When I came down to Curry County, I reached out to the executive director of Southern Oregon Coast Pride, Laura, and I said, hey, I want to do this. And so I just did it. And we made it work, and we checked in with each other regularly to make sure it was what we were both hoping for and that we were doing good with it. But yeah, if you're interested, if you have ideas, if you have things that you want to do in your community, reach out to the people who are doing it. Reach out to the organizations who are doing it, because they would be more than happy to help highlight whatever you're putting on, help you with putting on the event or whatever it is that you're trying to get started in your area. Because there's a lot of people out there with these amazing skills that are just waiting for an opportunity or something to invest that time in.
Oh, good point. Good point. Right on. So what are some of those things that people have jumped into doing?
Oh, gosh. Well, in the past couple years, we started out in Curry County with a really robust Pride in the Park planning committee that would get together monthly and work on planning our annual Pride in the Park event, which is typically the first Saturday of June at Azalea Park in Brookings from 11 to 3. Got to plug that in there.
Yeah, be ready for 2026 now, huh?
Exactly.
We just had one. Yes.
And so since then, we've had some great ideas. And so in the past year, we've put a lot of them on. People have wanted to do Rocky Horror Picture Show, for example, was one of those great big ideas. And so the event committee said, hey, let's do it. And so we connected with all the people we needed to put on that great event last year. It was very successful. It helped with fundraising for Pride in the Park 2025. And so this year, with Rocky Horror Picture Show being the 50th anniversary this year, we are definitely planning to do that again in October.
So this October?
Yes.
Okay, in a couple months?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
We're starting to plan now. We're talking with the venue. We're requesting the rights to the video and things like that. And then some other things that people have had ideas for that we've put on are like the youth group.
Yes.
That we started down here. It's the Queers and Allies youth group, so very similar to the one up in Coos Bay. And that came about from a youth in the community meeting with me, wanting to put something together. And then I don't run it anymore because other community members and parents in the community have taken it over and made it their own. And it's amazing. Let me think. Some of the other things we did.
Well, I know something new that just sort of happened that you went to.
Oh, yes.
Let's talk Glow.
Yes.
Okay, listeners, check this out. And and as you're listening, all this information, it's not just for queer or gay people. Allies are invited and supported, and it's all of us. It's all inclusive. So don't just think of this as a gay radio show. It is all inclusive. Go for the Glow.
Absolutely. And we always need allies. Allies need to show up for us in so many different ways. But yeah, with Show Up and Glow Up last Saturday, the 28th, was our first one. First of hopefully many, but we'll have to see when the next one will be. But what it was kind of a resource fair where gender expansive individuals could come in, get some free food, check out some makeup, and we had like a little nail polish section, and there was all kinds of jewelry. There were binders, different types of shapewear, clothing, different resources.
I'm going to stop you there for a second. Some people go, bindwear? What's bindwear? Can you give a little bit more description for people that don't understand that?
Yeah, so binders are something that you can use if you have breasts to safely reduce their size in your silhouette. And so we provide all different types of shapewear to either reduce or increase those curves.
There you go. I love it. Okay, sorry to interrupt you. Go for it.
No, you're awesome. And so we had a ton of different resources. Oregon Law Center provided some resources. And let me think who else. Zaria with the reproductive justice program with South Coast Health Equity Coalition sent down some information. And then we, of course, had Daphne with the Gender Affirmation Closet, who was helping people do applications and purchases. We had people helping with legal name and gender changes, pretty much anything that anyone would need in order to support their gender identity. We try to fill and meet that need. And so this was just an opportunity for people to come in and meet who those volunteers are in our community, because we're relatively new and we want to reach gender expansive people. We want to reach our community locally. And so we want them to know who we are as well.
Right.
Understand which of us have what types of lived experience.
Right.
And understand what we offer and what we can do. What's important to know is it's at no cost to the individual.
Wow. Wow. And you're forming a friendship and a relationship so the person doesn't feel alone in this process of what they're figuring out of who to be, how to be, what to look like, and everything around that, And you know what's so cool, Sarah? I know I'm a little bit older than you, probably a lot older than you. Anyways.
No one's counting.
Okay, no one's counting. But, I think back, we didn't have these resources when I was 20, 30, 40 years old. It's only been in the last 20, 25 years that the resources have really come to fruition, and they're community-based. It's not like you pick up a phone, dial 1-800 number. I say dial because that was the old day. Dial that 1-800 now. Now there's websites, there's connections, and this is what I'm seeing. If people want to go to a website first, can they do that instead of just showing up at a Show and Glow?
Oh, yeah, of course. So all of the information for all of our programs is on our website. It's socpride.org. And so I help to keep the website updated, as do many of the volunteers. And we're also on social media, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. I don't update those ones, but other volunteers do.
Absolutely.
And yeah, you can always check that out. You can always email me, especially if you're interested in volunteer opportunities, interested in getting involved. There's always opportunities. There's always more people who are needed at every event, even if it's serving food or making sure everyone's having a good time, trying to keep protesters at bay if they show up, something like that.
Right. Lots of opportunities.
Absolutely.
And what I love about it is that you and everybody involved are joyful. You bring out the joy. Do you feel the same thing as you're attending and helping as a volunteer, the joy involved in everything?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's one of the most rewarding things about doing events like this is having situations and having interactions where you are there for someone else or where you're providing access for somebody else. There's so many times where people are thanking us for having this event or thanking us for showing up in the community. And so that's incredibly rewarding and it keeps people coming back and doing this work.
Right. And bringing a friend and bringing a friend and making new friends and then bringing in more friends, because in the queer world, we've always been here, but now we're visible and we're, I don't want to say we're shining. We're shining because we are being happy and safe in our community. And I have seen such a wonderful change in Curry County in 34 years. It's been remarkable. Have you lived in other places where this is much more of a bigger scenario?
Places that are more diverse? Absolutely. I grew up in Alameda County, California. So that's near like Oakland in the Eastern Bay Area. And that was way more diverse. And so I would say that here, and now more than ever, really, it's so much more important to make sure that people know who lives in their home community. Earlier today, I mentioned a protest, and one of the things that really stuck with me is somebody drove by and said, "I can tell none of you are from here." And I said, I have lived in Curry County for years at this point. I deserve the same rights as everybody else does. And that's what our community needs to know and to see.
Exactly.
When you're in places like the California Bay Area, you're assuming that most of the people that you're around are, if not queer themselves, are accepting of queer people because that's the overarching culture of the area. When you're here, that's not the case. And I'll tell you, the street harassment and the amount of negativity that I've experienced in Curry County has increased since November.
Oh, okay.
And that makes it even more important when we talk about queer joy. Queer joy is one of those things that was hard for me to wrap my head around at first because I was thinking our community is constantly being attacked. We are constantly under fire here. What is there to be happy about? Why are we putting on this happy face and showing up with joy when these people need to see how their actions are challenging us and how their actions are harming our community? Then I got to learn a little bit more about joy as an act of resistance, about joy in and of itself showing up in a way that says, go ahead, you'll never get me, you'll never break me, keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to keep showing up with joy because you can't get to me.
Absolutely. Oh, man, that is a mic drop. Yes. And I can see it in your eyes. It's emotional for you as well, because you know that you have the strength. You're surrounded by strength. You're surrounded by people that love you impeccably, profoundly, and you just let that exude.
Yeah. It's what you have to do in order to keep showing up. Because it's too easy to fall back out of the eye and stop showing up and stop being visible.
Right. And I guess all through my life, Sarah, honestly, there have always been, whether you call them protesters or naysayers or salt shakers, there's so many words that try to describe the people that have a hatefulness toward queer. And oftentimes I wonder, where did that come from for them? And what I find so often, it can be tied to a religion or a belief or something that they grew up with that was not, that we were different than them, and difference is not good. Would you like to say a few comments about that?
I would say that difference is what makes us the humans that we are, right? Difference is what creates individuality.
Yes.
Difference is what, and respecting each other's difference is what makes us human, right? Because if you can't respect each other's difference, how do you ever come together? How can you collaborate? How can you overcome conflict or overcome struggles if you are not aligned with each other, or if at the bare minimum, you can't even tolerate each other enough to say you're also a human on this planet deserving of love.
Absolutely.
And I think love is really at the middle of it. And I realized this shortly after Brookings Pride on the 7th, after interacting with some of the protesters, because I just can't help myself. I have to get in their faces.
And that's using your voice.
It is. And I just have to tell them about themselves sometimes or ask questions is
Yes,
what I end up
questions
doing.
are good.
And I walked away from that interaction at the end of the day and I said, these people don't understand love. They don't understand that pride is about love and that there's no space for shame. Also, that shame doesn't create change. Anybody who's ever worked with people who are trying to make a change or trying to encourage a change with someone else will know that shame is not the way. And so when you think about pride and you think about the purpose of pride, it really is about rejoicing in love, sharing in love, and celebrating that love. And so when you have people who are at Pride who don't understand what it is to experience that love for one another, then you have people who really don't understand what draws people to Pride.
Oh, well said again. Oh my God. I think you better write a book. I could probably help you a little bit on that, like at least lead you to the right place. But you know what you're saying is so important for all of us to hear. And it does. It comes down to love. And what does that mean to you and to everybody else out there in the community? You know, what are some of your hopes regarding love and all the conversation we've had today? What are some of your hopes for our county?
Oh gosh, that I get to stay married legally. That would be great. I guess that's not county specific though. I think for our county, I want people to be open to recognizing that there is no agenda. There is no overarching goal for Pride organizations or Pride communities that equal anything other than feeling comfortable and celebrating who you are. I think that it's important for our community to know that celebrating who you are and celebrating your love is life-saving.
You know, and you mentioned marriage, that you hope your marriage will stay as a married couple. Mm-hmm. And if you can jump in there for a little bit, you don't need to mention who you're married to, but maybe the gender of the person you're married to.
Oh, yeah. I'm married to a woman. So my wife and I were both assigned female at birth. So I don't identify singularly as a lesbian, but I am in a lesbian marriage. And I am that's what I would call it. So,
right.
Yeah. And so there's threats to that, unfortunately, and threats to...
So listeners, I want you to think about something as Sarah's talking there. Imagine a straight couple. I think of my mom and my dad. I have a brother who's married to a wife. I have a sister who's married to a husband. And imagine if all of a sudden their marriage was threatened for whatever the purpose is, for whatever the reason is, because somebody didn't understand love. How would that be for a straight person? And if a straight person can think about that, I think that gives it a little bit more compassion and empathy and understanding for a queer person or for you and your wife. I know it was an issue with Carol and I too, that it was so exciting when we first got together. There was no partnership allowed, domestic partnership, and marriage was just a dream between two same gender people. And now I look at it. When is your anniversary for your marriage?
We were married on New Year's Eve, so December 31st of 2022.
Wow, how cool.
Right here in Curry County, we eloped.
Great.
Home
Great.
to home.
Great. And our county is really good at that. The courthouse is all inclusive in helping. Was that true?
Oh, our experience was wonderful. We didn't have any problems at all.
Exactly. Can't believe how quick the time has gone. Do you have any final comments about using your voice and being who you are?
Gosh, you know what's so funny is I had like a whole thing that I was planning to say, and I didn't get through to any of it. But I would just...
So where did they get a hold of you? Southern Oregon Coast Pride.
Yes, come to socpride.org, come to our events, and just Embrace self-expression and using your voice in whatever way is right to you, because by speaking your truth, you're not only affirming your own existence, but you're inspiring others to do the same. And that storytelling and that sharing of our personal and lived experiences is instrumental in creating a world where everyone feels safe to express their true selves.
Wow. Oh, very good. Very good. Oh, my gosh. And I hate this to end, but we've got to do it. We've got to do it. Thank you, beautiful listeners, for tuning in today to Joyously Free and listening to Sarah Kacell. I thank you from the top of my heart, the bottom of my heart, for saying what you believe, for using your voice, for all the volunteering that you do in our community to bring people together. Q Cafe is the best. I want to thank everybody listening, Southern Oregon, Northern California, for being with us today. We hope you've been inspired, challenged, and you've enjoyed the stories and the tips and the hopes from Sarah today. Let's give high five to Sarah. Ooh, there we go, reaching over the table. There's a high five. So from the top of my heart, we want to thank Tom Bozak for being on our sound system today, Candace and Rose at KCRW. We also want to thank all the people like you that are listening today. You can re-listen to these podcasts on kciw.org at any time, because this is how we continue to learn. It's not just a one-time 25-minute show. You can go back and re-listen and re-listen. I hope you had a great time with us today. We always end with something really, really big. Here we go. Have big smiles. Wear bright colors. It's your day.